Hey guys, do not adjust your computer screens. You are seeing three people. This is our test run for a brand new rebrand of the Speedway Review, now powered by NASCAR Daily. The Speedway Review is teaming up with Mike McMahon and NASCAR Daily to bring you our show each and every week and some throw-in shows just like this one. For you NASCAR Daily folk who don't know me or Corey, I'm going to give you about a 90-second preview of who I am, then Corey, and then Mike's going to introduce himself to the world of the Speedway Review. As I said at the top, my name is Chris Burns. I've been a NASCAR fan since probably around 1984, 1985. I consider myself a bit of a student of the sport. I am not a stat guru. We'll talk to him in just a moment. But I do like the intricacies, the ins and the outs. I take a lot of things into consideration when breaking down these races and talking to NASCAR fans in general, just like you. The other half of the Speedway Review since 2017, I'm going to have him introduce himself. His name is Corey Huffnagel.
What's going on, Speedway world? My name is Corey Huffnagel, and I am from Boston, Massachusetts. Pretty much, Peabody, whatever you call it. I'm pretty much on the suburb side. So how I got into the sport, I actually got into the sport back in 2005, and I was actually right around the time when, all the drivers that were racing have been either retired or mostly been in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, I just love the racing world, and I'm really amazed, how well it's been changed, the last couple of years and stuff. But other than that, I've been on this show since 2017, and yeah, I can't wait to share the world of racing on this network, especially on NASCAR Daily as well.
Absolutely, and now the newest member of the Speedway Review, but not the newest. We are the newest members of NASCAR Daily, so we're going to let Mike take his moment in the sun and say hello to the fine folks.
I just want to say hello to all the Speedway fans. I want to thank Chris and Corey for having me on here. To all my personal fans from the 2488 podcast, I do want to apologize for the hiatus that we've been on. I did have to return to work, and that made things difficult with scheduling. But Chris and Corey saw my post, and they invited me to come on here. For the Speedway fans that don't know me, I started watching in 1997. I was a little too young to really follow it closely, and I just kind of kept my ears open. And then around 2002, 2003, I started watching religiously every Sunday NASCAR on Fox, and I'm going on 30 years of being a fan, and I love this sport more than anything. I'm here every weekend. Sundays is church, barbecues, and NASCAR for me.
Amen. Until football season, then it's a fight.
And then it's like I gotta flip back and forth.
Well, yeah. I got to give Corey a lot of credit real quick for two things, and one of them is he actually told people where he's from, and the other two bearded morons did not. So first, I live in Norwich, Connecticut, born in South Carolina, lived many different places around this fantastic, beautiful country of ours, but Norwich, Connecticut is home for me. So Mike, why don't you tell the folks where you're from?
Well, I got two Northerners. Let's see, how do I do this?
Same, doesn't matter. Just
this way. I got two Northerners on my side here. I'm the only Southerner. I grew up in South Florida, where NASCAR fans are hard to find out here, and most people laugh at you when you tell them you're a NASCAR fan. It's been a battle my whole life to convince people that the sport is exciting, but I love bringing new fans in, and I love that look on their face when they go, oh, this is actually cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. And technically, yeah, I've been up here 80% of my natural life, but I was born in Charleston, South Carolina. So I guess South, I don't know. Everybody has a different view of where the South begins and the North begins and what have you. But when you talk about meeting people and not meeting a lot of NASCAR fans, that's exactly how this show started out. It was in 2017. I'm in the stands for the Xfinity race in New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Me and my whatever she was sitting there having a good time, and I noticed this guy on his phone saying, "Hey, see if I get the name right. NASCAR IndyCar Central fans, this is Corey, and the Xfinity race just ended, and blah blah blah, and hiss boom bah, and now we're going to go to the modified race, and Ryan Newman's running in it." And he stopped, and I looked over, and I goes, "That was pretty good." And he kind of gave me the side eye, like, "Well, what do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, I'm a podcaster. I'm a former radio guy. What you did was good." We exchanged information, and about, I'd say, 8 weeks later, the Speedway review was born, and it will be another fantastical reunion for Corey and I this coming July 18th, when Corey, I'll be there, my kid will be there for her first ever race, and we're going to have a great time at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, probably do like a live video update for you guys, and we'll talk about it that Wednesday. But as we get going in this Test Run Jones, I want to, we came up with 4 topics. Each of the guys came in with something. Mine will not be discussed here. You'll hear enough of that on Wednesday nights. It's very anti-Kyle Busch. But this is what we came up with, and we'll start right at the top. July 4th, this past weekend, happy Independence Day to all of you in America. Hope you guys were safe and happy and not rained out. It marked the anniversary of the last race Richard Petty ever won, which was the Firecracker 400 back in July of 1984. Cool for many reasons. One, Ronald Reagan was in attendance. You got the sitting president of the United States to sit and watch a race. And it was a benchmark that I think, and I'll ask you guys separately before I get to the topic, it's going to be a mark that will never be broken in our lifetime. Records are made to be broken. We know this from baseball, football, hockey, what have you. But 200 wins on the Cup Series, starting with you, Mike. In your mind's eye, I don't know how old you are. You can please divulge that if you like. But, you know, me at 48 years old, I don't necessarily see anybody breaking that 200 Cup win mark. Your thoughts?
Jeff Gordon couldn't even hit 100 as well as he did. And it's because of guys like Jimmy Johnson that our sport is constantly changing. And they're constantly throwing new rules and whatever they can to keep guys like Richard Petty from winning that many races ever again. And also, being 32 years of age, I do happen to know that in Richard Petty's time, there were about 2 to 3 times as many races per week that were NASCAR sanctioned events, which gave him that edge of, it would be like, if Kyle Busch does the three-peat where he wins all series, he gets 3 wins in one weekend. It's kind of like that. You know, he racked up the wins simply by just being the best at all times. But as far as the Firecracker race goes, that is actually one of my favorite historical moments. Watching the documentaries of the history of NASCAR and seeing Ronald Reagan say, "Gentlemen, start your engines," from Air Force One, and the image of Air Force One landing on the backstretch with Richard Petty's car just gives me goosebumps. So,
all right, I want to put something out here. Watch this, Mike. You're gonna like this. Give me a second. I have to find it. Corey, put your hands where I can see them right now. Okay. I'm looking for it. Okay, so we know that July 4th, 1984, Richard Petty scored his 200th NASCAR victory. Who came in second in that race? Hands where I can see them.
I want to say Cale Yarborough.
Wrong. Cale Yarborough came in third. Come on, Corey, you can do this. Corey, who finished second that race?
All right, so can I put my hands down?
You can put your hands.
No.
Don't shoot.
No, I have to do this because
you're Googling.
Okay, all right. I know the answer. So if I have to pick a guess, I'm going to say Harry Gant.
Richard Petty wins the Firecracker 400. Second place finisher, starting in 13th position, the number 33 Skull Bandit of Harry Gant. That is why he is stout like the logs. This guy, I can throw anything at him, and he picks it out of the air. But Corey, is this the untouchable record?
I would probably say it is, yes.
Okay, same here. And like Mike mentioned, and it's always something that fans bring up is like, well, they had twice as many races in a season, in some cases 48 races per season. doing twice a week, Wednesdays and Sundays, much like they did during COVID. But I do think that even without the extended, I think his career would have been longer had it not been for the twice a weeks, and he would have still gotten 178 wins. It would still be an untouchable record. Absolutely. Right. So before we get to the topic, I figured to break in the new show, I'm going to toast you guys with the delicious Steve Austin Broken Skull IPA, the best IPA in America, if you can find it.
Stone cold.
Oh, hell yeah. And I'll be bringing a 4-pack of this to New Hampshire. So, Corey, I know you don't drink much. You will try one. You will enjoy it.
I don't see why not.
You send me one, and I'll crack one with you.
Give me your address. I can tell you what places sell them near you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't even know he had his own brand.
It is amazing, but you can't drink too many at one sitting. I'm gonna have one, and then I'm done. Then you switch to Brad Keselowski beer because, like his driving, it's water. Anyway, we'll start with Corey on this one. What is your one favorite Richard Petty moment?
To be honest, it would have to be the one from 1984 when he won his 200 race at Daytona. That would probably be my only favorite one there is. Okay.
Mike?
Well, if we're talking like historical moment, what happened on track, because I would have two. I would have a historical moment and then the personal moment for me of when I actually met him after being a fan for 20 years in 2017 at the Daytona 500 in the campground, and I totally lost it, man. I kept my cool until he left, and then I just lost it.
Right.
But
I hear you.
But if we're talking Richard Petty highlights, Corey took the 84s. So I'm going to say the 92 final race of the season at Atlanta, Richard Petty's final start, which was my guy, Jeff Gordon, his first start. Yeah. The symbolism there, I get goosebumps just talking about it.
The king passes to the kid. And the whole time, the Intimidator's looking over somebody's shoulder. And since you all both took really good ones, I'm going to fanboy out. I didn't get to necessarily meet Richard Petty, but at the 2009 Daytona 500, my wife at the time, my mother-in-law, my brother, we had pit passes, everything. And who's walking up with a throng of photographers but Richard Petty? And I just wanted to say hello. All these people are trying to get autographs and handing their Sharpies and whatever. And I just looked over and said, "How are you today, sir?" And he looks over and goes, "Fine, boy, how you doing?" And just kept walking. And I thought to myself, that is the epitome of cool. That is how you know you are, not just superstar status, you are elite. It's fine, boy, how you doing? Done. And I also had the Firecracker and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution 400 on my list. But to me, there was one particular race, and I'm sure you guys have all seen it 1,099 times. For other reasons, this is a memory for people, but is the 1979 Daytona 500, which the finish was incredible. The crash was something of beauty, and then the fight. That didn't have anything to do with Richard Petty. He became an afterthought when you saw the fight between Allison and Yarborough. Nuts, just absolutely nuts. But that, to me, I'm like, he's forgotten in the whole equation because of the fight. The Alabama gang took his thunder away.
Yeah, he's overshadowed.
Right.
There was the one with the Silver Fox, David Pearson in the 21, where they crashed coming to the checkered flag, and Pearson barely just got it up and going before he could. That was even though he didn't win that one, the fact that he had a crashed race car in the tri-oval trying to get it, he would have got out and pushed,
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes to speak of what drivers were like way back when, and that leads to our next topic. I think in my mind's eye, and I don't want to disparage a lot of today's drivers because some of them still do have that roughneck mentality. What, my arm's busted, I have to tape my eyes open? put me in the car, but now they have all the protocols to let you know, hey, guess what? You're not driving this week. Mike already let his cat out of the bag, but I renamed the category favorite drivers through the years. If your alliances have ever changed, if your favorite guy retires and you have to pick up a new guy, who do you look at for the future? Because I'm pretty sure Mike's wearing the Chase Elliott gimmick on top of his head there, which means he's got another good 20 years of fandom, but eventually everybody retires. It's going to be interesting because you may not be able to answer that now, but as the show goes on, and if we ever revisit this topic, you'll certainly have an answer as I do today. But we started with Mike. We're going to start with Corey on this one. Favorite drivers through the years since you became a fan.
All right. So I got a lot on this one, but if I had to pick one, I'd probably say one throughout the years would have to be Tony Stewart.
Fantastic. Side question. And it's going to come up with everybody, and everybody's going to have a different answer. Why Tony Stewart?
So when I first went to New Hampshire back in 2005, I remember when he used to drive the Home Depot car, and it was like all like orange-ish and all that. Not like the orange with like the black and white stripes, but just like plain old orange. That was like probably my favorite race car that I saw on the track mostly. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 2005 was also the year he won the championship as well.
Yes.
And since then, of course, he went to Gibbs, and of course, he left Gibbs, went to Stewart-Haas Racing. But I just like Tony Stewart because, he was one of those guys that was aggressive. And, of course, he would drive, like, anything that's on, like, four wheels, dirt included. But he was also one of those guys that just wasn't afraid of saying anything, that came out of his mouth. I mean, I remember, one time he bashed on Goodyear, and, of course, he bashed on all other stuff, too. But he was just one of those guys that, he just wasn't, like, afraid of, like, picking a fight or anything. But that's probably my favorite driver I can think of. And, of course, I really like, how Daniel Hemrick's driving the Home Depot lookalike paint scheme, which is kind of funny. And actually it's funny because whenever I see Hemrick's car racing around the racetrack, that's the only car that I could pretty much just think of as Tony Stewart's Home Depot scheme. And for that, I reserve my time.
Okay. Same question to you, Mike. In your years of NASCAR fandom, obviously we already know who your favorite driver was. I'm going to ask you why Jeff Gordon. And then obviously we know the shift to Chase Elliott.
Yeah, Jeff is more of a simple story, and Chase is probably more interesting one. We had friends come down from upstate New York in 1997, and apparently upstate New York is, they consider themselves to be Southerners. They're very country. So they put on the Daytona 500, and I see this rainbow 24 car, the blue, yellow, and red, or reddish orange, whatever, kind of reminded me of Superman colors a little bit. And I don't know, man, just something about that yellow 24 and the blue car, and I was hooked. And then Earnhardt. My dad loved Earnhardt, being a Johnny Cash fan, the Man in Black and all that, the Intimidator car. So I followed Jeff, and then Junior came over in 2008, and I was a Junior hater. I was a known Junior hater, but when he joined HMS, boy, I bought that merchandise so fast. I was like, now he's our teammate. It's not going to be the same. He's going to work with us. Obviously, that didn't happen. Junior retired, and I was not a Chase Elliott fan. I missed him coming up the ranks. I did love Bill Elliott. It was actually my hatred of Napa, which the irony is now I'm wearing Napa. My hatred of DEI and Michael Waltrip having the Napa car that was beating Jeff Gordon. I was just sick to my stomach that my 24 car had Napa colors on it. So I did not root for Chase his rookie year. It wasn't until about 2017, end of 2017, when he got taken out by Kyle Busch at Dover, and then Denny Hamlin got into him. And when I saw him stand up for himself against Denny Hamlin, I said, this is great. this is great. We watched Junior for 20 some years. You know, I just found out he stood up to Kyle Busch one time at Richmond. That was about the only time he got payback. So I'm like, this kid didn't play it clean. He didn't Mark Martin it. You know, he went for it and he stood up for himself. And I said, I can respect that. And everything he's done since is just solidified that he's my next Jeff Gordon. And I'm going to be with this kid for a long time.
Nice. And before obviously you kind of know answer number one. I see some of the comments coming up. I don't know if Mike can put them on the screen. Junior was the guy, Caden. I like Junior. A lot of people love Junior. My brother is a huge Junior fan.
Yeah.
And was sad when he retired. I don't think Matt's picked a new driver since then, but he still watches. AJ had an interesting comment that I'd like if you could highlight that. I'm in search of a new truck driver because Johnny Sauter is probably going to retire after this year. I hope Johnny wins one more time before he retires. AJ, good call on Johnny Sauter.
Yeah.
Not sure what his status is, but I'll give you my answer, and then the boys have their answer. Sheldon Creed, that's your new guy. Take it to the bank. Done. Jones, it's over.
Yeah.
They're not. But wait, there's more. Corey is a big proponent of Stuart Friesen.
Stewie.
So what would you say in this situation, Corey? Go with the young guy, Sheldon? Go with the guy who's a tad bit older, but still technically like a truck newcomer-ish, Stuart Friesen, or do you go Youngblood?
Honestly, I would just pretty much say just go with Youngblood right now because I look at guys in Xfinity in the Truck Series. A lot of these guys have talent. I mean, I look at, Sheldon Creed, who won the championship last year. He didn't even get hot until like the start of the summer. And one little answer, with Stuart Friesen, I mean, he is an okay truck driver, but man, when you put him on the dirt track, oh my goodness, he runs really well when it comes to dirt. And not to mention, he also runs a dirt modified, every weekend as well. So honestly, I mean, to answer that question, I mean, yeah, I would just go with Youngblood.
So there you have it. Mike, any thoughts on who AJ should pick as his new Truck Series driver next year?
Well, I am not a fan of Johnny Sauter in the slightest.
We just lost a viewer. Good golly.
Oh, boy.
No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
I had the opportunity to interview him, and I actually passed on it because I said there's nothing I could talk to him about that would be productive, and wouldn't really want to have him on just to insult him. Like, dude, I remember you crashing in the 04 500, and you took out half the field. And also he drives a Ford, so I can't recommend you any good Ford drivers. Grant Enfinger, maybe. He seems to be able to, despite running a really weird season where he's on two different teams, going back and forth between trucks and not being eligible for playoffs when he's doing better in points than half the people that run the series. So
look at the time.
I'm going on a little bit of a rant, but if you had to make me pick one, I go GMS and Zane Smith. You're going to like this, Chris, because I saw Zane Smith pass Kyle Busch at Charlotte, and I said, who the hell is this kid? He is my new, that's my boy. And he actually replies to me on Instagram when I tag him and stuff. So that's nice. Zane Smith. Like Corey said, young blood. Let's do it. GMS.
All right, AJ, you've got 3, in some cases 4 really good choices. Let us know what you decide on at the end of this season. But going back to the question for my answer, favorite drivers through the years. Oh, God. It was 1987. I would go down to my grandparents' place in Daytona in February break, and that was the first year I got to see an actual race. Not on television, like I actually sat in the stands for Daytona 500, 1987. Corey, who won that race?
1987. It was, I want to say, Bill Elliott.
It was Bill Elliott. Yes. That's all I'm going to ask. I'm not going to ask you who finished 13th because you'll probably dig that out too. But a week before, during Speed Weeks, for whatever reason, they had a meet and greet at the Volusia County Mall. And you got this little 8x10 fold out 4-page with the little inch by inch box of each driver and their name underneath. And you walk down this row and they would just sign it and hand it to you. Thank you. Thank you, kid. What's your name? Okay. Thank you, kid. Whatever. And I got almost to where this guy with the weirdest red fro was sitting at the end of the table. And I'm getting to the end. I'm just so discouraged. None of these drivers were personable. And he was like, "Hey, what's your name?" "Chris." "Hey, Chris, give me that." "You, Chris." "Who are you rooting for on Sunday?" "Rooting for you." The man was Rusty Wallace. And I was part of that, Rusty Nation for that day until the day he retired. And I had been preparing since about 2000. What do I do when Rusty retires? Of course, it took 5 years to get there. But, the Jeremy Mayfields, all these guys that would come through, blow through, you think, oh, that guy's going to be – I actually at one point thought it was going to be Ricky Craven. And then we lose Earnhardt. And the next week they go to Rockingham and they show the white Goodwrench car with a new number. And they say, okay, well, this was 2 years in the making, but it's coming 2 years early. This young stud named Kevin Harvick is, being brought up from Busch Series, and he's going to drive this car. And I turned to my buddy who I was watching the race with, and I said, that takes balls. When Rusty retires, Kevin Harvick is my guy. And now with Kevin Harvick, retirement is looming. Kevin Harvick and I share a birthday, but we're 5 years apart. So at 43 years old, how much longer can he last? But I've already kind of cemented my next driver, which is going to be Matt DiBenedetto, who that's a story for another time. And thank you with the golf clap, and thank you for the double thumbs up. You need to shave those knuckles there, Sasquatch. And all good, my friend, all good. No, but I'll tell the DiBenedetto story another time when we do another one of these pop-up shows. AJ popped in. He says, okay, cool. I'll look into GMS and others that are young blood, and I'll tell you guys who I pick. Thank you, AJ. Tell your friends. This is always going to be a completely interactive show. We will take comments from everybody, even if you say you like Kyle Busch. Hashtag FK. Not having it. But, it's just interesting how people pick their drivers, why they pick their drivers. Is it personality? A lot of guys go with personality. A lot of guys will, if they're new to the game, like a friend of mine some years ago, we got him into NASCAR by taking him to Dover. And before he got there, he's a fantasy sports guru, Wiz Jones. And he says, okay, I'm a Matt Kenseth fan. And, of course, Matt Kenseth wins the championship that year. So Josh did his homework. I know. I'm not.
Worst season in history. I'm sorry, but worst season in history, 2003.
Yeah. Worse than Matt Crafton no-win championship? Come on now.
About that.
Come on now, Mike. All right.
I'm talking Cup Series.
As long as we're on the memory train, this one's going to be probably different for all of us, but your best. And I'm going to expand it to 2. Everybody gives one, and then we're going to come back around the circle. We'll start with Mike. Your first best racing memory.
Oh, man. In person, my first ever race was the 2007 Daytona 500.
Which was won by?
Your guy, Kevin Harvick.
Okay, good.
At that time, I was a Kevin Harvick fan, but my heart shattered seeing Mark Martin lose because I was losing my mind thinking that I was going to personally witness Mark Martin winning the Daytona 500 in a race he was not even supposed to be in. So for me, that's always going to be my favorite race of all time because nothing compared. Sitting at home for 10 years watching it on TV just didn't do it justice of being there and standing in the tri-oval feeling the banking underneath my feet, feeling the energy of the people there, and just the history of every step I took was like someone famous has stood where I'm standing.
Oh,
It just
absolutely.
no other race in my career comes close. Two other highlights were 2012 and 2017, but I'll have to share those stories another time.
I like the new comment. I just have a new best friend now. The 2001 Atlanta race. Yes, sir. Started third, fifth race ever. Kevin Harvick comes home with the victory, door to door with Jeff Gordon. We raced each other semi-clean all the way to the line. And look, I'm going to go back to Mike's point real quick. But Tyler, you are my new best friend. Send me your info, and I will send you a Christmas card this year. And I don't like Christmas cards. One of the things about the race you're talking about, that Daytona, was in the midst of I'm jumping out of my chair. My phone is blowing up. I'm probably, they say 6 sheets to the wind. I was 3 more sheets. And it was just a fantastic day. And then after the burnout, and he's yet to go to victory lane, they turn that camera to Mark Martin standing outside that 01 Army car, and my heart sank. I'm like, dude, every year, Daytona, it was like the Earnhardt saga before, was it 90? Corey, was it 98?
98, correct.
98, yep.
So
you have to ask that one though.
It was that saga. It was like, when will we come up? When will Mark Martin come up and get this? And wow, great. Thank you, AJ. If you can highlight that. The 2000.
I was gonna highlight that. I was gonna highlight that after your story, because we're on this race here for now. And
understood. But yeah, that as happy as I was for Kevin Harvick, my heart sank because there's Mark Martin. You never hear someone say, "I hate Mark Martin." He's one of those guys that if you don't love him and your guy crashes out, you're like, okay, well, my guy crashed out. Go Mark Martin. He's one of those guys. He's the perfect. Go ahead.
Sorry, but you respected the way he drove. He raced clean. He did not start fights or get into you. Sorry.
No, but if you started a fight with Mark Martin, and I had the opportunity to meet Mark Martin out of his fire suit, that is one little jacked up dude. Dude had muscles in places that I don't have places.
Oh, yeah.
He was ripped. He started that whole trend that you see now. Casey Kane and Carl Edwards and all those guys took to training. Mark Martin started that trend.
Yeah.
But, good call, AJ, on the Darlington race. Corey, your favorite racing memory, number 1.
All right. So my favorite racing memory in person, this one takes me back. So I was fortunate enough to go to the Daytona 500, but it was actually the year after Kevin Harvick won the 500 the previous year. So I was at the 2008 500, which not only it was the 50th anniversary, but it was pretty much, the golden anniversary. And what was actually cool about it was, you had all these singers and performers that came out. You had some of the cars that won the 500, for all the previous years. And then, of course, the year after that or the year before that and so forth. So I was actually a Tony Stewart fan at the time. And I remember the day before the 500, I think he won the Xfinity race. And I think he did well the qualifying race or whatever race it was. I don't know. But I remember, I think it was 3 laps to go. Tony was leading. And he had Kyle Busch, who was his teammate at the time, which, of course, was his first year with Joe Gibbs. He was on his back bumper. They were leading going down the backstretch. And I remember when they were coming to the white flag, I know Tony was leading. And then, of course, when they were going down the back, you pretty much saw Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman. Those guys were getting the push down the backstretch. And then just like that, Newman went right by him. And, oh, man, I was like probably – I almost witnessed, Tony winning the 500, but after Newman passed him, it was just basically over from there. And I was just like, darn, I can't believe, Stewart didn't win the 500. And, but actually, even though he didn't win, that's okay. But just being at the Daytona 500 in person, I thought that was awesome. And it was just, if you think watching it on TV is one thing, but just being there in person, it's just one of those races on your bucket list. You just have to go to and so forth.
Absolutely. And for extra bonus points, Corey, how old was my daughter watching the 2008 Daytona 500?
All right. If I remember this one, I think she was born at the time.
She was born 2 days earlier.
2 days after, yeah.
Wrapped up in a Kevin Harvick t-shirt, sitting on a chair with Dad, watching Ryan Newman take the checkered flag. And, of course, she left me in the dust, and now she's a Truex fan.
Ooh.
Yeah. It happens. Don't worry about it. So that would be easily one of my favorite memories, but since we're talking about on track, I would have to say watching Ward Burton win Darlington in 2001. No, 2001 was Jeff Gordon. 96 was Gordon. I'm trying to remember all the races I went to. 2001 was Ward Burton.
Yes, 2001, Ward Burton won the Southern 500 that year.
Yep, and the reason that resonates so much with me is because I love underdog winners, and Ward Burton wasn't yet. He was that guy. He was. Right. I don't want to say field filler, but he was a guy that always put his heart out there, his soul out there. Not that all drivers don't, but again, he was one of those guys like Mark Martin. If your guy crashes out, well, let's see how Ward does today. And of course, the fact that he sounds like Boomhauer from King of the Hill in the post race. Hey, Ward, you had a great car. Yeah, man, car ran bouncing, but the Caterpillar 22, Bill Davis, KFC, Taco Bell, whatever. And of course, that race being after not only the death of Earnhardt, but being a week before 9/11, we're in the stands, and I didn't think I would react as hard as I did to Earnhardt's death until I got to the racetrack. And on the third lap, everybody kind of goes silent, throws the fingers in the air. I'm blubbering, not like, but I've got tears pouring down my face. My buddy looks at me and goes, "You okay?" I'm like, "I am now." It's all good. I got that out of my system, and I was able to move forward and enjoy the races again. And then, as we're driving home on September 3rd, the race was on September 2nd. We got a little lost. We ended up passing the Twin Towers. And I wake up from my sleep and I look over. I'm like, why the hell are we in Manhattan? Oh, I took a wrong turn. I'm trying to find my way back. I'm like, this is why I drive. But you guys told me to sleep. This is why I drive, because I know my way. But yeah, that's my number one favorite on-track live that I was there memory. Honorable mention, my daughter, 2 days old, watching Ryan Newman win. Mike, your second favorite live, in-person, on-track memory.
Got to be in person on track. Well, it wasn't this, but I would share because you brought up the 3 moment. 2011 was the 10-year anniversary of losing Dale Sr. and was my second Daytona 500. And not to make this whole show Daytona themed, but it is the best track in the whole world, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I was there. We were on the backstretch, and lap 3, I believe Dale Jr. was leading. Corey, you might know this. Not quite sure if he was leading, but I'm pretty sure he was leading. But the silence of the whole track while we're all holding that 3 up was just like you were moved to tears. I couldn't even cry because it would have made noise. It was so, man, that was incredible to be there for that. Second personal favorite moment on track. You're saying being there at the track again? We're just going to stick with that theme?
Yeah, our live, you were there, and you can hang your hat on, I was there.
So 2012, it's the and I also want to state the 07 500. I was standing in the fan zone, which is above the garages. So yeah. I had a straight on vision of Harvick and Martin coming across. It wasn't like I was sitting in the stands where you can't really see it. I was in the garage and I saw Boyer flip and catch on fire. And I actually have a picture of Harvick driving past me into victory lane. I'll send you, Chris.
Please.
When I took it, it was with it wasn't a digital camera. So I had to wait for the picture to be developed. And I just took it on a whim. I'm like, I don't know what I took a picture of, but when it was developed, it came out and I was haunted because you can see Harvick's profile and his hands on the wheel. It's one of the coolest pictures. It's one of the coolest pictures I have.
Nice.
But 2012. Now at this point, Johnson has won, I think, five championships by now. And I was really kind of broken up about watching Homestead, the Johnson show every year. And it was my first Homestead race. It was my first time there, even though living in Florida, it was my first time there. And I brought my friend, who was a Jeff Gordon fan, but not as big as I was. And somehow bringing him to his first ever race snapped Jeff Gordon's losing streak of never having won at that track. That was like one of 3 tracks he had never won at. And that good luck of bringing someone to their first race, him being a diehard Jeff Gordon fan, we watched Jimmy Johnson and Brad Keselowski duke it out that whole race. And Johnson was leading with a handful of laps to go. And next thing I know, Johnson is pulling on the pit road. And I'm like, no, he'll still come back. It's Johnson. He'll come back. And then he pulled it right behind the garage. And I swear I lost my voice from screaming. That was the best moment I'd ever seen in my life. I'm like, Keselowski is going to become a champion. And I saw him win Talladega in 2009, so I knew who he was. I watched him a little bit in the Busch Series, so I was happy for that. But Gordon inherited the lead, and I watched Jeff Gordon win at my home track, and we saw the double burnout, which doesn't exist anymore. The double burnout of Keselowski and Gordon doing a simultaneous burnout at the same time. And that burnout of Gordon is just, I'll cry about it because it's a dream come true. And I never saw him win again, except in the IMSA series. He won the Rolex race in 2017, but that was just, that was my dream come true. Sorry for taking up a lot of time, but it was
no worries. As we throw to Corey, just know that in all of the years I've gone to live races, I have never seen a guy that I'm wearing the gear for win a race live. Ever. So, Corey, your second favorite on track, I was there, memory.
All right. So this one I kind of thought about, and I remember back in 2014, I went to the fall race in Charlotte. Now, this was the first year NASCAR did the whole playoff system. You're winning, you're in, and, you win in this round, you go to the next round, stuff like that and so forth. So I remember being there, and I remember before the race, I got to meet a few drivers. I got to meet guys like Austin Dillon. I met Ryan Newman, and I also met Kyle Busch, which I would probably say, he wasn't really like the nicest guy in the world, but he was just pretty much nice to get the picture. And then, he was just on his way and out that and so forth. But actually, a little side story. There was one time I met Juan Pablo Montoya at Charlotte. And yeah, you could pretty much tell he was pretty much of a jerk. And yeah, that was a little harsh. But anyways, so the fall race in 2014 at Charlotte. So I remember Kevin Harvick won the race. Now, the one thing I didn't really know of was, as I was walking out of the stands, I'm looking at one of the TV, and I saw, Keselowski's crew member, I guess, was like behind the pit wall or something. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here? What happened? So then it just turns out we go back to the hotel room. I think we were probably 10 minutes from the racetrack, or 20 minutes from the racetrack. I can't remember. So it turns out, I guess Brad Keselowski not only picked a fight with Denny Hamlin, but he also picked the fight with Matt Kenseth, and it was actually funny because there was one part Keselowski's walking back to the hauler, and then next thing you know, you hear like Foot's like running, and the next thing you know, Matt Kenseth's running up behind him, grabs him by like the shoulders or whatever, and the next thing you know, like here comes the crew members that are coming out, and everyone's all scrambling and everything, and I was like, and not only like Keselowski got into a fight with those guys, but also a little side story, but a month later gets into that fight with Jeff Gordon, and yeah. I'd probably say out of those two fights, I'd probably say the Keselowski-Jeff Gordon fight, I'd have to take that, with like number one and all that. But anyways, I've been to Charlotte a couple times. It's a really nice racetrack, but that's probably the only on-track memory I remember that I usually bring up. So yeah,
that's a good one.
My time.
If Evan and Jason ever do Dark Side of the Race, that would be the perfect opener.
Yeah.
The Keselowski Kenseth WWE backstage brawl between the haulers at that race. That was a phenomenal pick. Mine's going to be a little weird. Mike's going to hate it because Kenseth ends up the eventual winner of the race. But I want to say it was the 2018 Dover race. Give me a minute. I'm thinking out loud. Yes, it was Dover. Restart with about 30 to go. And I've never, I've seen crashes. I've seen horrific crashes, but I never saw one on a restart. And in this particular restart, it was Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson on the front row. Kenseth has the lead position, so he brings the field to green. And as they're doing this, Johnson spins his tires and takes out 16 cars on the restart. It's red flagged for about 40 minutes. I had never seen anything like it. It was nuts. And to me, that's a lasting memory. And, like we've all had our off-track ones that we've mentioned. If we do this again next year, my answer is going to change because I am taking my kid to her first race in 2 weeks at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And I can't wait for her to see this track dropped in the middle of nowhere. And Corey can tell you this. New Hampshire Motor Speedway is in the middle of nowhere. You take a 2-lane, at times 4-lane road, past these mom-and-pop grocery stores and, little Moose Lodge casinos on the side, and then you get to this monolith, this beautiful facility, and it's gorgeous. And when I took the kids up there a couple of years ago, well, my kid and my ex's kid and her, she gets no mention, to Weir's Beach. Of course, Kevin Harvick wins because I'm not there. And as we're driving home, we passed New Hampshire Motor Speedway in the midst of the race. I've got it on in my ear. And I go, hey, kids, look to your right. Oh, you're sleeping, you rotten little booger-picking whatever. But, yeah, that would be my second favorite racing memory is watching Jimmy Johnson wipe out 16 really good contenders on a restart with 30 to go at Dover. So before we close out, one of the things somebody brought up, and I love this topic, we're past the halfway point of the season. We got the next gen car coming up. We've got the Atlanta repave, which was just announced. If you guys could give me each, and I'll start with Corey, 2 things you are really hopeful for in 2022.
I'm probably going to say, for one, I'm probably going to say how this next-gen car is going to do at all tracks next year and how it's going to perform and also how it's going to run next year as well. So that's probably the only topic I can pretty much just think of at that point.
Okay. If you're deferring your time, Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell us what your hopes are, your 2 best hopes for 2022.
2 best hopes. Originally, I think you asked what was I most looking forward to or excited about. But let me see. 2 hopes.
Maybe I worded it wrong. I apologize, but that is that goes right along with what we're saying. Yes.
I would say what I'm most excited for is the Daytona 500. I want to see how these babies run in a pack, and speed weeks. As soon as we start speed weeks, and I'm not talking the Clash anymore because now it's on a road course. I really wish they'd bring back the pure Clash that we used to have. Yeah. But as soon as we get to the duels, I'm like Larry McReynolds. I'm already counting down the days to that. But what would be my two most hopeful things? I would hope that the benefits from this car would show results in the smaller, underfunded teams that we're seeing GMS, we're seeing Matt Collett, we're seeing, a Trackhouse. We're seeing these guys, they're starting out. I want to see these guys have, top 15s, top 10 runs. Not at Daytona, obviously, but in the first 5 races, Bubba Wallace's, even 2311. I just want to see if this is truly going to benefit them the way they say it's going to. And then I am still remaining hopeful that Junior Motorsports will make its debut in the Cup Series in a next-gen car. There was a recent, I can't quote the source, but I read an article that Dale Jr. is concerned now with Ganassi being bought out. Like, that wasn't even an option. And now we're seeing that this is what potentially is on the table. Guys are not just buying the Rick Wares and the guys that don't really want to be competitive. They're not just looking to buy those charters. What is on the table here? So that's what I'm hopeful for. I want to see. I'm an underdog person, and we talked about it a little bit, Chris. But with our weekly picks, you're going to see some of my well-known underdogs come forward, and obviously with this, we'll talk about the acquisition of Brad Keselowski and Roush Fenway. But I want to see Austin Cindric come up into that 2 car and just knock the socks out of these guys like he's been doing. Sometimes you see a guy will impress you when they're trying to make a name for themselves, and then when they actually get a ride like Briscoe, they don't meet expectations. So I want to, those are things that I'm hopeful for. I want to see these guys knock the socks off of our guys that are up there dominating and, things like that.
I like that. And you kind of mirrored one of mine, although not in the same way. My hope for 2022 is that, that all the pen to paper that we've had in the last year that has Austin Cindric going to the 21 would actually come true, because the Wood brothers are technically now a subsidiary of Penske Racing South. I want Matty D in the 2 car. That's one of my biggest hopes. I want Matty D to get in a car that has super good funding, that has super good equipment, and he can finally show what he's all about. No offense to the Wood brothers. We all know this. We can see this with 23XI Racing right now. You can be a subsidiary, but you're getting the other equipment. You're not getting the top-notch engine. You're not getting the top-notch chassis. You're not getting the top-notch anything. You're getting what they have to offer. So, and Matty D has done really well with what they have to offer. Put him in that 2 car, he's going to be lights out. But I do feel, Mike, that you are correct, that Cindric is going to end up in the 2 car, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because like Darrell Waltrip said many years ago, and I think Matty D in the 21 is showing this right now, you can put a really good driver in substandard equipment, and he's going to find his way to do good things with it. So for me, it's selfish. I want Matty D in the 2 car. 2 reasons. 1, he deserves it. 2, I miss wearing 2 gear. I wasn't going to wear Kurt Busch, and I wasn't going to wear Brad Keselowski. No offense to either driver. I think the world of both of them. Not, more Kurt Busch than Brad Keselowski. But, boy, how cool it would be to wear, Miller Lite, Matty D. Jones all over. It would be fantastic. Secondly, and this goes to the next-gen car, I don't want this to be another car of tomorrow, because when they introduced that piece of garbage, no aero, it was boxy, the racing was garbage, and it wasn't what NASCAR fans want. they tried to go with the newfangled, oh, this is going to be great, and it wasn't. The racing blew. So I want this next gen car to be. I want it to like make not so much speeds, because we're going to get speed no matter where we go.
Right.
But I want this next gen car to be the complete package of everything they've worked on for the last 10, 15 years, and make it even. I mean, last year in the COVID era, exciting. We got two. And if I can throw in a third, don't give any races to Pocono. Screw Pocono. Pocono sucks. Mike, if you've ever watched the show, I hate Pocono. Corey knows I hate Pocono.
Yes.
And they get two. They get two a doubleheader. No, I'm not going to say it. Family friendly. And if I do cuss, a quarter gets dropped in the jar. So Mike.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think we need for this show going forward, we need like a disagreement flag that we can hold up. I want to, like a ref. I want to disagree with you on so many things.
Feel free, but that's the beauty of what we do. Corey and I don't always agree, and we haven't for 4 or 5 years now. But that's the beauty of it. We all have. It's a lot like Red Sox, Yankees. You don't have to like the team; you just have to respect the snot out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not a lot of things, not a lot of guys in racing, with the exception of the attitude. Like, okay, as long as we're on the subject, I dislike Kyle Busch's attitude. I dislike his demeanor. I dislike his wife, who buys new boobs every time he wins a race. I don't like his kid with the little designs cut into his head. I don't like a whole lot about him. I don't know them, and I'm sure if I met them and sat down and had dinner with them, they might be fine people. But this is a guy with all the talent in the world, and then still sticks it straight up the butt of every race fan who doesn't wear an 18 gimmick on their hat by being just a petulant child. Listen to him on the radio. Was it Corey, what was the race? Was it what did we cover last week?
Pocono.
What race was that? Pocono. And he has the shifter issue. Yeah. He's crying the blues on the radio. F this and F that and kiss my stuff and stick it down your mouth and suck it. And they bungee cord it so it can hold into place when he's in second and fourth. And guess what? He wins the damn race. Quit your crying. Be a man. Yes, every driver cries. From Jeff Gordon to Rusty Wallace to Dale Earnhardt to Kevin Harvick to Morgan Shepherd. Everybody has cried the blues on the radio. Are you waving your flag?
I'm throwing my flag.
Here we go. Next, go ahead.
I'm gonna say that I agree with you on this, but there's a video on YouTube, you can look it up, of like the worst or the funniest radio chatter. It's like a combination, and I swear, like, I never understood what you guys were talking about. Crowd. And once I heard, like, I watched it, it's a 10-minute video. Kurt and Kyle Busch and AJ Allmendinger were like the worst, most disrespectful, spoiled brats I've ever heard. So I fully agree with you on that.
I'm going to give Kurt Busch credit. In the last 5 to 6 years, that guy has come up. It's like I disliked, no offense to you, Mike, and Corey's heard this story. I disliked Jeff Gordon because if he won, it was on him. If he lost, he blamed the crew. Somewhere along the way, the switch got flipped, and Jeff Gordon became mature. The same for Kurt Busch. Same for Kevin Harvick. I used to listen to him on the scanner, and he's my guy. And I'm like, if he could just shut up for 35 seconds, that would be great.
I think Jeff's wife Ingrid brought a lot of maturity to him, and having kids and stuff and things like that. So I agree that Kurt is no longer like that. But at this time, this was like when he was transitioning from Penske to Phoenix or whatever that was. James
Finch, front row. He ran for everybody.
Yeah, he was. He was even mouthing off to Roger Penske himself. So, I mean, that's how old this was. But I'm just saying, I watched the video and I understand now. But I'm gonna try to remember the 3 things you listed. because I wanted to disagree with you. As far as DiBenedetto goes, I am a huge Matty D fan. His year last year was phenomenal, and he almost won a lot of races. However, this year he's not running the same as last year. So that's why I'm saying if you look at it from Penske, you put a kid in a 33 car, doesn't even run a full season, and he's out there beating Matty DiBenedetto, and he's bringing sponsors. Matt's got sponsors that were inherited to him. Cindric is bringing brand new sponsors and money. I'm telling you, man, he's getting that 2 car. I'm happy with it. I'm okay with it. Matty can stay in the 21, but he's got to run better. He's got to win a race. He's got to earn it. If he can't win a race and you can't run top 5, why are we giving you the best Penske? I mean, Logano has the best Penske car, but why are we giving you what used to be the best, most historical car when this young kid is coming in and he's going to tear up?
I can answer that. I can answer that. And then, Corey, I want you to add your thoughts. Why give him that car? Because Matt DiBenedetto, and again, I'm resolved to the fact that Austin Cindric is going to get this car. There's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. But if some strange turn of events happen and people actually honor the contracts that are in front of them, Cindric goes to the 21, which means I have to change my hat. I have to get all new gear, which, dude, there's nothing worse. Like, it's not like being a Yankee fan or a Red Sox fan or a Falcons fan or a University of Tennessee fan. You get to keep the same gear. In racing, it's way different. I had to trade in all my 27 gear to get 2 gear in 1991. And then you go forward with Kevin Harvick, 29 to 4. Okay. The worst thing I got to do now is get all the new gimmicks to say Jimmy John's or Busch Light or, this one was a Father's Day gift. Support our troops. Got to love it. And, that's the worst thing you have to deal with in racing. But you give this kid a ride. He's proven himself. And if you give this kid a top ride that he has earned by going out there. Oh, William Shelley wants to say hello to you. Throw it up there. See, hello, William Shelley.
He's an actual dirt racer. He runs on dirt, his own car. And he is the biggest Kyle Larson fan and the most annoying Kyle Larson fan. He has unshakable faith.
I know somebody who can top it, but they'll never be on this show. And the beauty of the StreamYard gimmick, guys, is that we can bring back Connecticut race car driver who is currently recovering from an accident, Joey Ternullo. Yeah. We could get, we have a line to Christian Eckes. We could put him on here. The more I did for my old podcast, I got guests like Jim Larritz, Charlie Benante from Anthrax, authors, musicians, professional wrestlers, what have you. There's a professional wrestler who I know who loves the NASCAR. So maybe Young Money all day.
Hey, Money.
Good choice. But going back, and Corey, I'm going to throw it to you in just a second. Why give Matty D the 2? Because he earned it the right way. If you're going to bring up Cindric basically for, sponsorship money, it's no different than bringing up any other young guy who ends up, taking a dump in bed and screwing other people over. How about Daniel Suarez? He was a bucket of suck in the 41. Matty D could have had the 41 and won a bunch of races. How about Daniel Hemrick going to the 8? Was a bucket of suck. Now Tyler Reddick's in there showing the world what he can do. The problem is when you bring up the young blood, they should have to start somewhere low. There's not a lot of guys that come up and just knock it out of the park. Kevin Harvick's one. Chase Elliott is one. There's a couple others that I'm missing.
Denny Hamlin really set the world on fire.
Exactly.
Yeah. Corey, you being a Tony Stewart fan, Denny Hamlin in 06, man, you can't top that rookie season.
Right, won both races at Pocono that year.
There you go. And look at some of these guys that have come up and haven't done much, or maybe it took them a year or two to get their feet wet. William Byron is one. Alex Bowman is another. Not everybody comes up and lights the world on fire. And that's what they're expecting. They want McDonald's fast breakfast. I want my Egg McMuffin. I want my hash brown. I want my coffee, and I want it now. They're not going to get it. Throwing it to you, Corey. If you had to pick all right, let me rephrase.
All
Who
right.
we know Cindric's going to be in the 2.
Yeah.
Give me a reason why Matty D deserves the 2, and then give me an argument against it.
All right. So I've been kind of thinking about this the last couple weeks, ever since, the Brad Keselowski rumor announcements have been coming out. So I can see this pretty much going one of two ways. Either Matt DiBenedetto gets the 2 car and Cindric goes to the 21, or pretty much, DiBenedetto goes to the 2. Oh, no, wait. Cindric goes to the 2, and then Austin Cindric keeps his ride. I mean, the way I look at Matt DiBenedetto's season comparing from last year to this year, yeah, of course, last year, I would probably say he could have won maybe like 1 or 2 races last year. I mean, there was times, where he was running good. I mean, Bristol 2019, I remember he almost won that race. Denny Hamlin pretty much passed him on that one. But then you look at this year, it's pretty much, okay, there has been some races where he's ran good, but then most of the time he hasn't been running like decent from what I expected. I mean, listen, I mean, if Matt DiBenedetto either goes to Penske, I mean, if he goes to Penske, I'd be okay with it. If he stays at the Wood Brothers, I'm okay with that too. The only thing I don't want is getting nothing out of the deal, because if he goes out, well, if somebody gets the 2 car, Matt DiBenedetto gets nothing. I mean, yeah, that's going to be a huge disappointment, not only for me and pretty much for everybody. I mean, honestly, I like Matt DiBenedetto. I mean, I really want him to stay in NASCAR. And I would bet you right now, Ford's going to want this kid. They want him to stay. They definitely want him to go to either Penske or stay at the Wood Brothers either way. But, I mean, it's just the only thing is now it just depends on, pretty much the team owners, if they're looking at this kid saying like, hey, why don't we give him a chance and so forth. But I don't know. I mean, honestly, I could just pretty much say right now, my prediction is I think DiBenedetto goes to the 2 and Cindric goes to the 21.
Okay, I want to look at something real quick, and Mike, while you're saying what you want to say, I'm looking something up real quick. Bear with me. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so your second topic, I believe, was you wanted to get rid of the doubleheader at Pocono.
Absolutely, F Pocono.
Yep. Okay, so, and this might offend you a little, but Pocono, my most hated track, and then New Hampshire. They're right. They're right there.
Killing me.
Now, I will say that this doubleheader, this Pocono doubleheader we had, was one of the most exciting I've ever seen at Pocono. As far as 2 races back to back, both of them were kind of like, even though I wasn't really watching the first day, I was listening to it, and I was like, wait, Larson's not dominating? Other people are leading this race? This is Pocono. What is – and then the invert of it where Larson and Chase had to start in the back, I don't even know if they ever touched the front. So we had 2 really exciting races in 2 days. And if we do keep Pocono, please don't ever go back to 2 events at separate times through the summer.
Think about all the great tracks that have exciting racing, and you're correct. Some of the Pocono racing this year was pretty good. I admitted it, but then again, a lot of it was like watching grass grow. It was just not exciting. Think of the tracks like Dover or Darlington or Bristol. Not the dirt, but would it be weird to give a track 3 races? Daytona's going to have 3 races. Daytona 500. They have the road course, and then they have the season ender on the oval.
Did they confirm they're keeping that road course? I didn't hear that.
Oh, yeah, that's going to move on.
Oh. Well, all right then.
But think of all the tracks that could provide a great doubleheader weekend, and something to ponder as we just before we close. In regard to where Matty D lands, think about this. In 2020, at the beginning of the season, Eric Almirola signed a 2-year extension that runs up in November. Could we see Matty D in the 10 car?
I mean, why not?
Sorry, Corey. Is the 10 car better than the 21 car, though?
Same at this point, really.
I don't think really an improvement.
I again, going back to what Waltrip says, you can put a good driver in poor equipment, and he's going to find a way to make it win. You can put a crap driver in great equipment. Trevor Bayne, anyone?
Right.
And yeah.
A miracle ring didn't really follow up with a stellar career, though, in that case.
Right, and I know his health issues were kind of a part of that too. So I'm kind of gonna lay back on Trevor Bayne, but think of the guys that were giving Juan Pablo Montoya giving a really great Ganassi ride. It was a bucket of suck. I mentioned Daniel Hemrick getting that 8 car, great driver, hell of a talent, didn't do a whole lot. How about the one person that actually sat in that 10 car for years and hit everything but the flag stand, Danica Patrick?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'll give you that. Almirola was a step up and was a smart move. And his strongest suit is his qualifying. I've noticed when we brought qualifying back this year, I think that's what's really hurting the 10 car the most. Is what we would see in a regular season is Almirola would qualify on the pole or in the top 5, and then that would he would slowly fall back. But it was better than starting in the back based on an algorithm and not being able to move forward.
Exactly. So before we close, I'm going to let you guys know, you watching, and David, I know I read your comment, but want to give you big ups for being a Matty D faithful. The Guido Nation appreciates it. Find that page on Facebook, Guido Nation. I'm a part of it, and they have weekly contests. You'll love it. You can't join if you're a Chase Elliott fan, so Mike, you're pretty much asked out.
I'm good with it.
I figured you would be. You're all about ringing. What is it? The siren? Is it the siren or the bell?
Yeah.
Or thank you.
The Dawsonville siren.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So before we go, I just want to let everybody know on this test run, I've had a really great time. I was excited all day. Wanted to make sure I was home from my meeting, which won't happen very often, but it does. Really good racing talk. Now, before we get into tomorrow, Mike, and I think I explained it to you a little bit, I'm going to give you the rules of the pick contest. You are not eligible to win this year, unfortunately, because you're halfway through, but we will count your picks. You will get a chance. If you win the week, you still don't get the points. I get the points. If Mike wins, I get the points. So look at Corey. He's like, no.
What about
Sorry.
me?
Yeah, if Mike wins, you don't get the points. How's that? No, but for the truck race and the Xfinity race, we pick a lock and we pick a sleeper. The lock, who you think is going to win the race based on stats, your own heart, what have you. The sleeper, someone who comes up through the field, maybe has an outside chance. You don't think much, but they've run good recently. I'm a big fan of saying momentum, momentum, momentum.
Yep.
But for the Cup race, you get 3 picks. You get a lock and a sleeper, same criteria, and you get a hopeful. The hopeful is someone that you just want to see win. They can be top tier, low tier. They could be BJ McLeod, although nobody picks BJ McLeod. BJ McLeod's mother wears Kevin Harvick gear. So, and if you ever pick Quinn Huff, you're fired. So
that'll never happen with me. But my question is, do you get points based on where they finish or solely if they win or not?
Okay, for this year, we're doing it the old school way. What I do is I take the finishing order. I'm going to get the notebook right now, and I'll go to what was last week? Pocono. Okay, so I take the finishing positions. I'll take race 1 Pocono for Cup Series. I took Kevin Harvick as my lock. He finished 4th. I took William Byron as my sleeper. He finished 3rd. And I took Matt DiBenedetto as my hopeful. He finished 32nd. That's a total of 39 points. You divide that by 3. My finish was 13. So your finish is what gives you the points for the week.
Okay.
The truck race pays 1 point. The Xfinity race pays 2 points. And the Cup race pays 3 points. And at the end of the year, so next year, when you are eligible for the contest, the winner gets a T-shirt from the loser. But since there's 3 of us now, the winner gets a T-shirt of your choice, $30 or less, from each of the losers.
Right
so
on.
it kind of opens it up, man. So let's have some fun. If my MRN shirt didn't fall apart, God bless America. 2 washes pissed me right off. I'll tell you what. But what we do at the end of each episode is, we ask if you have anything you want to pimp, plug, or otherwise push upon the people. Corey always, even though people are watching and we're doing the show, pimps the show, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But now we have NASCAR Daily. So we can pimp NASCAR Daily. We can pimp the Speedway review page. Obviously, guys, keep watching the show. Tell your friends. We've had a good time answering all of your comments, and tell people, hey, this is a NASCAR show that actually answers your comments as we go along. So this is the part where I say, I'll start with Mike. Mike, do you have anything you want to pimp, plug, or otherwise push upon the people?
I always like to plug the Till Valhalla project. You can buy merchandise from them, and they provide these gorgeous plaques to families of our fallen soldiers, and they also support the 22 a day suicide for our soldiers. My good friend Nicholas Quinones, he's an independent wrestler, and he is a veteran. He suffers from PTSD, and he shares his story, and we support all of our servicemen and women, and that's why I always give a plug out to them. I was giving shout outs to Fanatics because I was trying to be a brand representative of our social media brand person. I guess I wasn't picked for it, but I'll still say that if you want merchandise, they're the best ones to get your merchandise from. And I know I'm forgetting StreamYard. Got to thank StreamYard. They're really good. They put on, we have a successful podcast here with them. And those are my shout outs. And we're talking powered by NASCAR Daily. In my intro, I wasn't able to talk about during the pandemic, we all missed racing. I enjoyed the iRacing, but when we finally had that Darlington race, I took the 5 people that would like things that I would post NASCAR related. I took those 5 people, put them in a group chat, and we had a blast hanging out, talking during the race. And that little group chat of just 5 people turned into 1,600 members today. And we're in our 2nd season, NASCAR Daily. We got a page, we got the fan group, and it's awesome to merge with the Speedway review with Chris and Corey. I'm sorry I cut you off earlier, buddy. Don't be mad.
All right, no worries.
Here it comes. Corey, got anything you want to pimp, plug, or push upon the people?
So what I didn't explain in my intro earlier too is I do a lot of go-karting in my spare time, and what I usually do is I put on events like once or twice a month. So I usually do this Memorial Day go-karting extravaganza every year. So right now we just started up the season about a month ago, and right now we're actually doing 2 events in July, and then we're doing 2 events in August. I'm planning on taking a month off in September, and then October I'm going to be doing the second half of the season, doing some events between October and December. And we usually get like about 10 or maybe like 15 people that come out with us, but it makes it a really good time. And, sometimes there's a lot of bragging rights that goes on. And of course, Chris wants to race me in go-kart one day. And I can tell you one thing, he's making me look nervous, but I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm not nervous at all. And, I'm not scared of racing anybody either, but it's just pretty much my passion. And, actually my goal is I want to go all around the country and just go to all these go-kart places and race, whether if I'm on like vacation or whatever. Of course I do a lot of research and everything else and so forth. But before I want to close out on the show, I want to give a special shout out to a guy named Eric Webler. So I don't know if you guys heard this story, but he was the kid that, that walked on the Pocono track. I think it was like after the Xfinity race, to help celebrate his weight loss and everything.
Yes.
And so forth. And who is he walking on the racetrack? None other than Noah Gragson and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now, when I'm talking about Dale Earnhart Jr., I'm talking Hall of Fame Dale Earnhardt Jr. And I thought that was awesome. And it's funny because my friend who actually knows him, posted the story, and I actually shared the story on the Speedway page. And I think it got like probably more than 10 likes and everything else and so forth. So Eric, if you're watching this video right now, we at the NASCAR Daily and also on the Speedway page, we want to say good job. You're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. And it was really awesome that you got to walk with Dale Jr. and O. Gregson. That was probably one of the best stories I've ever read, but that was truly awesome. So Eric, you're doing a good job, buddy, and keep up the great work.
Amen to that. And I'm gonna kind of go back to Mike's point for a little bit before I do my. I rarely do pimpage anymore, so I am actually going to pimp something. Merging these two together puts more eyes on the product, and we thank you for that, Mike. Much appreciated. And whether you're Speedway faithful or NASCAR Daily faithful, this is home. This is where you get it for fans by fans, and we don't sugarcoat. We're not corporate. We're not Fox. We're not NBC. We're not going to go, oh, yay, rah, rah, Denny Hamlin. No, if Denny Hamlin screws up, we're going to tell you Denny Hamlin screws up. I am going to slip an F word in here or there when I talk about Kyle F. Busch. And the biggest thing for me is I treat this like I treat any other sport. You know, whether I'm watching my beloved Atlanta Falcons, unless they're playing the Saints, at which point, F the Saints, I treat every game, it's not war, it's sports. There's no reason to, walk into your local Walmart and I'm wearing all my Yankee gear and some guy's wearing Red Sox gear and put on a pissing contest. No, it's not the laundry, it's the person. But if an asshole's an asshole. There's 50 cents in the jar. But we have to respect what they give us on the track each and every week. Much like I say about Kyle Busch, you could put him in a lawnmower and he'd find victory lane. I don't have to like his attitude. So going back to your point about, respect this and like of this and whatever, no, not having it. When it comes to Kyle Busch, there's respect for the track and F everything else. I sent you the picture of my daughter in the homemade FKB t-shirt. So
I couldn't believe that.
I actually made that shirt to go to Corey's house for the 2020 Daytona 500.
Yeah.
Everybody took a shot at wearing that shirt. They're like, oh, can I wear that? Here, take it. Have a good time. And we all got pictures and everybody's laughing because at the end of the day, F Kyle Busch. But Valhalla Project, guys, please, whatever you do, support our troops every single day. They put their lives on the line so you can enjoy the freedom to tell them to go F themselves like liberal scumbuckets. But I do have something to pimp. Just recently, I had meetings with a co-host and a producer I'm getting back into the socio-political podcast world. It will launch in September. I want you guys to hear it first. I haven't announced this anywhere else. So Speedway Review powered by NASCAR Daily, you hear it first. Dysfunction Junction is coming to the scene in September. It'll be on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you steal your favorite podcast from. Totally separate from this show. I prefer doing what we do here, video, have people watch, have people comment in and out. But on Dysfunction Junction, what I really want is that commentary that you can take with you. There will be an email set up. There will be, chances for, emails to be read on the air. But it's always been a passion of mine to get my feelings off my chest. And it makes me a less angry person. And I'm not a super angry person. Some people will tell you I'm a monster. Some people will tell you I'm a flower. I'm somewhere in the middle. So, and I've made Mike laugh about 600 times tonight with my anger. But it's all in good fun. Keep your eye out for it. I'll give you updates each and every week. Dysfunction Junction, pissing off libs day to day to day. And if you're a liberal, look, I'd love to hear from you. If you're a conservative, I'd love to hear from you. If you're a libertarian, God bless you. That's what this country's about. Sorry, political rant, had to go. By the way, I got this new book today that I cannot wait to read, and I'm going to show it to you. Yes, sometimes, Mike, we go off the rails, especially when Dark Side of the Ring is on TV, because I got Corey into it, and now he is hooked like heroin. This is Stop Mass Hysteria by Michael Savage. I've yet to dig into it, but you can see the tagline, America's Insanity from the Salem Witch Trials to the Trump Witch Hunt. I am looking forward to digging into this book, and That's going to be a part of Dysfunction Junction as well. Also, two other things. I want to throw a shout out to, even though she doesn't watch, but her daughter does. I want to give a huge shout out to Stephanie Edwards, who is celebrating her 7th month of sobriety from opioids, and I'm super proud of her. Can't say enough good things. Corey and I have had to deal with this in the past. Corey more than me. It's unfortunate, Mike. If you didn't know, and Corey, I'm hoping I'm not opening up a wound. Corey lost his sister.
Go ahead.
Corey lost his sister to addiction, and it really did. It tore the ass out of him and his family. That's a quarter I am glad to put in the jar. And it's a very real, much like the 22 Project, much like Till Valhalla, much like supporting your troops. You don't really know the struggles people go through until it hits home. And unlike COVID, which I still think is the flu with just a fancier name, opioid addiction is real. Please, guys, if you know someone or love someone who has a problem, get them the help they need before it's too late. I'd rather not have to go through, and Corey and Mike and everybody else, I'd rather that nobody goes through the pain. My friend who I've known since high school lost her daughter to opioid addiction about 2 years ago, and it really did. It tore the heart out of her. And I saw her recently. She seems to be just now being able to smile, being able to chit chat. The jokes are different. The hugs are different. She's coming back to who she is, but the piece of Kylie in her heart is never going to be fully healed. Keep that in mind as you go forward. Our tomorrows are not guaranteed. Enjoy today. Tell someone you love them today. I do want to share with you guys, and Mike, I'm about to embarrass you just a little bit, but just a little bit. I'm on the road 5 days a week, and we had the text chat going for this show, and Mike sent probably the most beautiful message I've seen in a long time, especially today where I got word that a coworker of mine passed away at the age of 75, an old coworker. I haven't worked with her in 10 years, but still in my heart. God bless you, Miss Carol. And Mike said, my dad said a real special prayer for us tonight, and hoping that this is a success. And even the big bad wolf has feelings. So I was like, wow, how cool is that? So Daddy Mike, wherever you are, tip of the hat to you, swig a beer to you, my friend. Thank you for supporting not only your son's dream, but this new 3-headed monster that is going to just take, hopefully, grassroots NASCAR podcast by storm, because Corey and I have done our damnedest for 4 years now. And now with Mike, I think as long as he doesn't pull a Matty B on us, we're good.
Honestly, I think this was fun. I
had more than my fair share of fun.
I'm really looking forward to this every week, and I think we're going to get a lot of laughs, but more importantly, I think we're going to get a lot of discussions about racing, and other than that, I'm really excited for this.
And more importantly, more eyeballs. That's what we need. So if you watch this show tonight, whether you're Caden or AJ or Tyler or William or David, tell your friends, get out there, spread the word. This is the place to be Wednesday nights, 8 p.m., unless something happens where one of the three of us aren't here. This is the place to be, where your voice gets heard each and every single week, as well as Corey's voice, as well as Mike's voice. Everybody gets heard, and that's what we want. Oh, look at him, like Uncle Sam Jones right there. Mike, before we go, you had a question about the Jones, and I'm going to explain the Jones. About 20 years ago, we got a video game, and you could create your own characters. It was a wrestling video game, and we came up with a character called Basketball Jones from the old Cheech and Chong gimmick, and we decided he needed a family. So there was Basketball Jones, T-shirt Jones, Hot Sauce Jones, and then when you're trying to make a point, and this is where it was born, when you're trying to make a point, you don't quite know how to put the period at the end of the sentence, you throw on the Jones. Like Blue Hat Jones, like Black Shirt Jones, like Drink a Beer Jones. But like Corey said, and it's very important, and my daughter tells me this all the time because sometimes I am guilty of it. Dad, don't abuse the Jones. And that's the cardinal rule. Do not abuse the Jones. Because it's the Jones.
Yep.
And it's all-encompassing.
It's true.
You will learn. Look at him. He's like, I have no freaking clue what he's talking about. It's the Jones.
Yep.
And eventually you're going to get things when we get comments, be like, oh, yeah, you see when Kyle did this to somebody, I'm just picking on Kyle Busch because, well, he's Kyle Busch. Did you see when Kyle Busch hit so-and-so and put him in the wall? Intentional Jones. You're going to see our listeners use the Jones. Yeah. It's that.
And Kyle Busch fans out there, if you're still with us, feel free to tell him off. You can,
and I will block you in a minute. I don't care. No, actually, no.
Okay, Brett Griffin.
I love the.
Oh boy.
I love the interaction. I love one of my best friends is a Kyle Busch fan. He lives down in Philadelphia. His name is Andrew DeCarlos. I hope he's watching tonight. He usually does the Wednesday night gig, but this was kind of a pop-up show, and we'll do these from time to time. But yeah, Drew is a huge Kyle Busch fan, and I hate the fact that he chose such a crappy driver. Talented as hell, but just crappy as all get out.
He's a pretty terrible person.
I'd rather see Nickelback outsell Kiss than root for Kyle Busch. And I hate Kyle Busch. I'm done.
Oh my gosh.
And I am no fan of Nickelback, as Corey will tell you.
Yes.
Although if you are in the Hartford area on August 22nd, me and my daughter will be at the End of the Road tour watching the almighty Kiss, the greatest American rock band ever in the history of ever, on their final tour 2 years after the fact because COVID screwed up for everybody. Cassie Cruz is laughing. Why are you laughing, Cassie? Because I hate Kyle Busch or I hate Nickelback. Same. Doesn't matter.
Probably both.
I'm going to ask you guys to do the same, but I'm about to do it now. Send your hate mail and hate tweets to, if you hate me, cburns19@gmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at that same designation, cburns19. I'm a very simple human being. I have very simple email, Twitter, and Instagram. Find me, follow me, have some fun with me. And I don't often interact on Twitter as much as I should, but as this show grows, thank you, Cassie. She said both.
Could I request something before we hop off here? And
I will not play Nickelback. No, you cannot request that.
No, this is NASCAR related. And I did want to say this was so much fun that I honestly don't want it to end, but
it has to. I got to work in the morning.
To those who have enjoyed it, maybe the three of us can give a little preview of what fans can expect to see tomorrow night on our very first episode.
Absolutely. Let me get the notebook, and Corey will be better at it.
I was going to let Corey start, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm the pitch. I'm the pitch man. I'm the radio guy. I'm going to let Corey. Corey, tell them what they can expect tomorrow night.
All right, so in case you guys are going to be watching tomorrow night, so we are going to be recapping Road America weekend, so we will cover the Xfinity race, and not only that, we'll also cover the Cup race as well. And then we are going to be previewing this weekend's races with the Truck Series being on the dirt in Knoxville, Iowa. Just remember, guys, it's Iowa, not Tennessee. So just if anybody gets confused on that. So, yes,
I was confused.
There is a dirt track out in Iowa, so and all that. But not only we're going to cover preview the truck race at Knoxville, but we're also going to preview Atlanta weekend. So we'll preview the Xfinity race, and we'll also preview the Cup race as well. And it's kind of weird because I guess now the walls at Atlanta are going to be painted green because, of course, Quaker State is sponsoring the race this weekend. If you guys remember when we had the races at Kentucky, the walls were painted green because of that weekend. And, of course, with Atlanta's big announcement today, they're going to reconfigure the bankings from 24 to 28 degrees. And some people are saying it's a mini Daytona, but I'm thinking to myself, you know what? They're kind of doing the same as what they're doing with Texas, but I don't know. I mean, considering the fact that Atlanta hasn't been repaved in a long time, but being reconfigured, I'm actually interested to see how the racing is going to be next year. And not only that, I can't wait to see what Auto Club's reconfiguration is going to be like in the next 2 years as well. But anyway, so that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow night. So if anybody's who's watching right now, tune in tomorrow night. It's going to be fun.
Absolutely. And between the recap and the preview, we go through our pick sets, which we explained just a little while ago. And Mike, you are now going to be fully entrenched, although your points will not count this year. And if you do win, the points go to me. We recap the picks for the week, and we see who wins. Now, Mike, what you don't know is on a week that either the truck or the Xfinity Series does not run, I throw a bonus question in there to get you the points for, say, the Xfinity Series is off and it's only truck and cup. If you get the bonus question right, closest without, just closest. I don't want to be Price is Right and say closest without going over wins the boat and the trip to Cancun. No, screw that.
As long as I beat Corey, right? As long as I beat Corey.
Yes, because then I get the points. Absolutely.
Oh,
So
this will be fun.
I'm going to give you this week's bonus question is where will Bubba Wallace finish in the race? As we all know, he finished 24th. Who won the bonus point? We will find out tomorrow. The pick sets are always fun. We get to explain a little bit, take about 30 seconds to explain why we're picking this guy. Sometimes Corey's shorter than me in his answer. Sometimes I'm shorter than Corey in my answer. But it makes for a whole lot of fun, and it makes watching the race a little bit interesting because while I'm following the 4 or the 21, I now have to look at the crawler and say, okay, where's Elliott? Where's Dylan? Where's Hamlin? Where is Truex? Where is Quinn Huff? We already know where Quinn Huff is. He's in the Jeff Green position and dead last. So we don't have to worry about Quinn Huff.
You just threw Jeff Green.
Oh!
The man's a Busch champion, Chris.
Whatever.
Busch champion. And you just...
What was it, Corey? Was it 2019? Every week, Jeff Green was in last. Every week. So we just decided that in every series, that's the Jeff Green position.
Couldn't it be the Quinn Half position, honestly?
You know what? Ooh, that's up for a fan vote. And Mike, you can put that up on all the platforms now that you're an admin on the Speedway Review. Put it up there. Should Chris change it from the Jeff Green position to the Quinn Huff position?
Or the Rick Ware position.
Well, Rick Ware maybe. Cody Ware, he sometimes dabbles with 25, 30.
Any one of those cars is going to run dead.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Time out. Offsides clipping. Cody Ware was running great in the Xfinity Series. I was listening, and I kept hearing his name. I'm like, is my headphone? Is something wrong with it? Are the paint fumes getting to me? Because I paint on the weekends. Like, what the hell's going on here? Cody Ware, top 10? What? I'm serious. It was the paint fumes. It had to be getting to me. I heard Cody Ware, top 10.
So tomorrow night, the stories that I'm personally bringing to the table.
Oh, good call. Preview. I like this.
Was announced today. Chase Elliott, my guy, will be racing his father in the SRX series.
Yeah.
Boom.
That preview poster was fantastic.
Yeah.
Chilling.
I'm coming for you, old man. I'm so excited. And I do have to apologize because usually Corey and I will do a little bit on the SRX series at the end. Yeah. I was so dead tired Saturday night, Corey and Mike as well. I got here, I turned on the race, I watched the first heat, and then I fell out. I didn't wake up till Sunday morning. I got 11 hours of sleep because at my advanced age, sleep is important, but I also work myself to death. And I do it because I want to. But I'm sorry, I did not see the entire SRX race, which I believe was won by Scott Speed. Am I wrong?
No,
Ernie
Ernie Francis. Oh, Scott Speed won the first heat, right? No?
Yeah.
Okay, that's where I fell asleep.
Yeah, Scott actually got taken out. It was pretty sad. I actually know him, and I've been asking him to come on the podcast. I know he's busy, but hopefully he'll see my message and respond. Send
him this. This is fun. Scott Speed, I will wear your shirt. I want to reach out to Anthony Alfredo, Connecticut boy. I want to reach out to Ryan Priest. Excuse me.
I'll have to duct tape my mouth for the Alfredo interview.
Oh, come on.
Aw.
What's wrong?
Nope.
I'll tell you what's wrong.
Oh boy.
I can already tell you. Stop. Time out. Nope. Don't say a word. I've got you. They brought him up too soon. He's got junk equipment. And whenever you see a problem, generally that 38 car is a part of it. Did I cover everything? What else is there? Come on.
The revolving door that is the 38 car for the last.
That's not his fault.
But why is he there?
Shave your face. I'm done with you. Hold on. I'll put my hand right here. Corey, I can only see you now. Oh my God!
I don't know. Maybe he's got something interesting to say. I don't know.
He'd probably be a fun interview. I want to reach out to Sheldon Creed. Anybody who would entertain us for an hour, 2 hours pop-up show, not on the Wednesday night show. Those are recaps. Off season. I want to get more off-season content. Corey and I usually go every other week, but now we got 3 heads. Somebody's going to come up with something interesting. You know, outside of, hey, it's championship weekend. We got 9 weeks to go till Speed Weeks. Corey and I would go every 2 weeks. Now we have 3 heads. Somebody's going to come up with something interesting, and we can talk about it. This can be now 52 weeks a year, unless, of course, Corey's Kevin Harvick pajamas fall off. I saw them.
Yeah, you did. I have them on right now. And then also I have the Earnhardt shirt as well. And, that's basically me for you. And also I forgot to mention, I don't know if I showed this earlier, but
oh God, here it comes.
Anybody recognize what movie that's from?
I was gonna say, is that the Days of Thunder 51 or is that Rowdy's?
Days of Thunder 50. Well, you can just call it whatever you want, but yeah, that's basically the number for you, buddy.
Sweet.
My man is obsessed. You should see Corey tomorrow night when we open. Don't do it now because I have to shower and go to bed. Now that the thunderstorms are over, I can shower safely.
Of course.
But tomorrow night. Oh, now where are you going? Good granny, we get a third co-host and he walks away. That's a nice hallway, though. I could paint that.
Roger, my phone's dying.
Oh, good granny in heaven. Prepare. Good. Okay. So while Mike is getting his charger hooked up, tomorrow night when we open, I want the helmet in your hands.
You got it.
And I want you to tell Mike the story of the helmet. And then if you have, I know you don't have 3 hands, but have that other thing that you got to the side and show that as well.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Those 2 things.
Tomorrow night, guys.
Tomorrow night. Corey is going to show you 2 fantastical things that I've seen in person. They're fantastic. This is the part usually where Corey would lead us out, but now that we're doing StreamYard Live, all I have to say is, guys, thank you so much. Mike, thank you. Corey, thank you.
Thank
you. You don't have to thank me. You can just send money. And we will see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. for the first ever official Speedway review powered by NASCAR Daily. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
You guys posing. Get a job.
I have a job.
I love you guys.
It's 2021. You could be unemployed now. It's cool to be unemployed.
Hold on a second. You might want to read this book.
No, we're out. That's it. No more politics.
Right. Good night, guys.